Hi, my name is Keri Barnum. I am the Executive Director of New Shelves Books, and we are here for Free Advice Fridays, the hour most Fridays where we get together at 10 a.m. Eastern to answer your questions live, just to build our community, to talk about writing, publishing, book marketing, so that we can all be better, so that we can grow together and learn from each other's experiences. And I am so excited to be back for 2021. Knock on wood, let's hope it's a little bit better than 2020. And I am excited for some things. We've got some questions today that were emailed in over the holidays, but we are also, thanks to our friend Randy, we are going to be able to do a live demonstration of Amazon ads and how to set up an ad and where to find your account, which is it's Amazon. So it's got so many features that you can't find them all. We're going to look at that today. We're going to do a live share, which is awesome. So today, let me get through a couple of our normal questions that were emailed in, and then we will work on those Amazon ads because I'm so excited about that. So when people are talking about a one sheet, the question always comes up on a one sheet. Number one, what do you use a one sheet for? And number two, what goes on a one sheet? And a book one sheet, for those of you who maybe aren't as aware, is kind of literally just a one sheet that you can use to talk about your book. It's got your ISBN, your price, it's got a very short synopsis or description. And if you are using your one sheet for marketing to libraries, bookstores, that sort of thing, which most of the time that's what you use it for, you want to include a bit about your marketing, about your audience, and about your platform, because that matters to them. If I know you have an audience of 5,000 people that you can market your book to, then that matters to me because I know that you've already done some of the work to build up your marketing, and you're more likely to sell books, you're more likely to sell books and send people to my shop. So that's the kind of things that we want to see when we do that. As far as social media, I say yes, list your social media as long as you're currently active in your social media. If you are not currently active, I would definitely skip it, because then you're sending people to something that you're not doing anything with, and they're going to think that you're out of the loop. You must include your ISBN, your price. If your book is available from Ingram, we want to say it's available from Ingram. Please do not say your book is available from Ingram Spark. Bookstores cannot order from Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark is a printer, but Ingram Spark gets your book into Ingram Wholesaler, and that is where a store can purchase from or a library can purchase from. So it's from Ingram Wholesale, and you need to let them know what your discount is. Did you set a full trade discount? That means that a store or library gets a 40% discount, but that means that on Ingram Spark, you set your discount at 55%. So you need to know these things so that you can list it on your one sheet. This will tell the buyer a couple of things. Number one, you know what you're doing, you know what they're looking for, and you have the information they need. People like to deal with professionals. People like to deal with people who know what they're doing, who can get them the information they need quickly. And your one sheet is kind of like your book resume. It's putting all the information out there so that people can easily order. So that's one of the things that you definitely want to look for and keep in mind as you're moving forward. You also need a very short book description or synopsis. So keep that in mind as well. Let me see. Maybe find a media kit that we've got available here. All right, and you can stylize your one sheet, which is actually fantastic. You can stylize your one sheet and kind of have everything on there. So let me see if I can share my screen, because I have got an awesome one sheet that we just helped work on. Let me share my screen here. All right. Share, there we go. All right, you guys, hopefully you can see this because I can't see I can see the Q&A panel. I cannot see the chat panel. So if you have questions, put it in the Q&A, please. But so this is a one sheet that we've done. You can see it's got the title, it's got the cover displayed, it's got all the information, a very short description, and this is important. This is your hook description. This is not a 5-page description, short. It's got the information about the format of the book. You can see the price right there, the ISBN. This is the publisher right here, a little, right here is just a little quote or an endorsement, and then about the author. Now this is actually a media kit, which is a little bit longer. It goes on to show all of our marketing plans and where the book is available and will be available. And this was actually a marketing kit to get into a distributor. So it's a little bit different than we'd see for a bookstore, but you can get the idea where it's a kit or a one sheet that looks well together, that pulls everything together. And then we go on to show Kathleen's experience and the awards that she's won. You can see that we list down here, we list all of her social media. And that's the kind of thing that, again, it's like your resume. It's something that can easily be seen and shown. It's something that can be emailed as a PDF. And it's a little bit stylized. It caters to the feel of her children's book, which again is important. If you can, that was created in Canva. You have access to things like that. And so creating something in there that you can use again and again put you a step above your competition because it presents you professionally, which is why a one sheet, I can't stress enough that every book needs a one sheet and every author needs a marketing kit. So keep that in mind. It's something you can work through and start building over time. I don't think you necessarily need a marketing kit for every book. You can create one for yourself as an author and then have several book sheets to go with it, depending on what you're pitching. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit, but if not, drop questions in the Q&A and I'll make sure to clarify there. Okay. Back to my email. All right, we had a question about rates that we're going to hold off on. Amazon ads, lots of stuff on Amazon ads because I know we were talking about that. All right, so I think we're just about ready to hop into Amazon ads. I know that's we've been waiting for all the Amazon ads, so let's hop into that. I'm going to do some live demonstrations. Again, I won't be able to see the chat, so if you could drop in the Q&A, that would be great. Let's see. All right, so we will do that. So you know, on the New Shelves blog, I should have grabbed it. I was able to just post a new blog written by Best Page Forward, which is Brian Cohen's group, all about ad copy. We just got that up yesterday and it was an awesome blog. So I highly recommend that you go check it out. It's just newshelves.com/blog. And I will drop in the link in there as well. And it's all about ad copy because on your Amazon ad copy, you only have 150 characters to hook people in. In 150 characters, it's not words, it's characters. It can be hard to pack a punch in that, and it can be hard to condense your story and your book description down to 150 characters. But it can be done. That blog was awesome. So I won't cover the ad copy description here. That's not what we're doing today, but so you know that's a resource and I highly recommend that you go check it out. Just newshelves.com/blog. All right, and now I'm going to share my screen. Again, Randy has very graciously agreed to let us go through and use his Amazon ad account so that we can do some of these things live. 1 second here. A bunch of questions just pulled up. All right. Yes, thank you, Randy. Super awesome of you, which we appreciate. I just got so many tabs up, so give me 1 second while I go through and I get rid of so many tabs. It's almost embarrassing. I don't know how I got so many tabs open, but I managed. All right. And Bob, in the meantime, I'm looking for this. Bob has said that he's having problem finding a printer for his book and is wondering if there's a book printer who works with self-published authors. Bob, my first question would be, are you trying to do print on demand where your book is printed by a digital file, or are you trying to do an offset print run where you get several hundred to several thousand copies printed and then you have to distribute and warehouse them? That would be my first question. And if you're choosing to do offset print, if there's a specific reason for it. For example, is it a board book or a specialized book? Because that would help me with your printing question. All right, let's see if I can now share. All windows. There we go. Apparently, I struggle as much in 2021 as I did in 2020, so that's good to know. All right. There we go. Look at that. All right, you guys. Hopefully, you can see my screen. Up here again, I can't see the chat box, so if you have questions, comments, put it right in the Q&A, please. That would be helpful. Maybe I can put the chat. There we go. All right, let us get started. So right here, we are in KDP, and in KDP, we can see the book. We can see Dispatches from the Swinging Door Saloon, which is Randy's poetry book. Super fun, short poems. It's got some depth in there, but it's also got some fun bar poems. There's your promo, Randy. And so what we are trying to look for, I've got all these little chats I'm having to move. Okay, so what we are looking for, first thing, is that you need to go to the Amazon advertising, because this is where your book is listed, but we need to promote and advertise. So on your book, on your KDP dashboard, you should have this promote and advertise button. You click on that. And this will take you right over to this page, which is for Amazon advertising. If you've never used Amazon advertising before, it will ask you if you'd like to opt in and kind of put you through your paces there. Most of it's common sense questions. I don't think that you should have any problems going through saying, yes, you agree to their advertising policies, you won't discriminate, blah, blah, blah. Then you get to this page here, and you can see that because Randy's book is in KDP Select for Kindle Unlimited, gives the terms, the start and the end date. You can manage that here, and you can also do a Kindle countdown deal or a free book promotion and schedule it out on this page. But for today, we are focusing on running an ad campaign. Recently, they have started to allow us to run ad campaigns in different countries. So that's fun to know, and I've certainly used that for clients who may be in different countries or whose books are maybe in a language other than English that lends itself to being promoted in different markets. But again, today we're going to stick with the .com. And so I'm just going to click on that and create an ad campaign. And here we have three options. Sponsored products, which means that your book is going to show up in a search. And before we go any further, I want to actually show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go to Amazon.com, and I am just going to type best poetry books ever. Everyday poetry books. And we will see right here at the very top actually is a book, and it says sponsored, little gray sponsored mark right there. That means that this is a ad. This is in the sponsored product ad. And what that does is it gets your book into the searches as people are searching for books on Amazon. Rather than keeping your book on the 100th page, you end up on the first page to the third page. It's generally the goal. So you can see that there's two right here. Most times when you search things, the top two are going to be sponsored ads. And then down here, you can see that's not here. And what that means is that this one was organically brought up. This was not a paid ad. But when people think of a sponsored product ad, I think many times we think of like a square ad, like a traditional ad, and that's not what this is. This is pulling you up in searches and increasing the potential for your book to be seen. All right. And then you can see the little description here. And this description is what I was talking about in that blog from Best Page Forward, where you have 150 characters. We'll get to that in a minute. Back over to Amazon. So that's the sponsored product ads. I'm going to kind of show you there. Then you have a sponsored brand. This typically is when you have multiple books. If you have multiple books in the same genre, if you have multiple books in a series, you can create a brand that shows across the top of a page. Let me see if Emma's got it. See, this is a brand ad. So you can see that it is the same author, kind of the same series. And so that can be a nice way to feature several of your books at one time. Most authors aren't quite ready to do that, but if you do have a series, it's, you know, it's a good thing to know about. All right, and then we've got a lock screen ad. And a lock screen is just like what it sounds. When a Kindle device or a Kindle app is on lock, your ad will come up, and it's based on category and genre. In my experience, lock screen ads tend to be much slower moving ads because it only shows up when people they have a locked screen. It's not an active search. So there are millions of people every day on Amazon doing an active search, not so many people who not only have their Kindle device locked, but then they're looking at it when that happens. So this can be slower moving, and also keep in mind that lock screen ads tend to work best for specific niche genres. So either someone who reads a lot, maybe mystery or romance could be good here if your book is in Kindle Unlimited. I have not seen much success if you are just trying to sell your book outright. But if your book is in Kindle Unlimited, lock screen ads seem to do well for some of the voracious reader categories. And also, if you're niche, if you have a book that is all about house foundations, how to repair a house foundation, even if it's, let's say it's $9.99, if your book or your ebook is a niche and you can target that niche, it can perform well because people looking in a niche, it's usually hard to find comparable books. It's a little bit harder. So that's when I would use that. But for the most time, and for the most part, we use the sponsored product ads. And the sponsored product ad is this one right here. I'm going to click on that. When you're setting up an ad, you can do your campaign name, anything you want. This is for you so you know how to search. For me, I always start with the month. Whoops, let's see if I can get in there. I start with the month and the year. And the reason why I do that is there are several different ways that people like to do test ads. I like to do them by the month, and I like to be able to see my ads and look back on different months to see how they performed. If you like to do it by the book instead, if you want a long-running ad, however makes sense to you so that you can find it. That's the most important thing, is that you know how to find what you did and it makes sense in your mind. I've often been told that I think backwards, but this is how I do it. So January 2021, and then we will say FAF example. This way, when Randy goes back into his campaign, he's not going, what in the world is this ad? He knows this is because he was gracious enough to let us use it. We're not going to do a portfolio. We don't need to worry about that. As for your start and end date, there are a couple of theories here. Some people will set an ad and do it with no end date. That means that it just keeps running. If you have already dialed in your keywords, if you are already having some success and you have found the magic mix that works for your books and selling your books and you want it to keep on going, that's fine. Most of us aren't there yet. And in that case, I recommend that you do tester ads, which can be as short as 1 week or as long as a month. Just know that your ad is run on a daily budget. So if you run an ad at $5 a day for 10 days, it's going to cost you potentially up to $50. So it's very important that you kind of keep that in mind. And so as you're doing that, just keep in mind that that is going to be your budget. And it's important that when you're budgeting ads and when you're testing ads, do we want you to sell your book? Absolutely. Do we hope that when you run an ad, you make a profit? Yes. But it is important that when you go into an ad, you are only setting your budget for what you can afford to lose if you sell no books, because that is a potential. It could happen. So keep that in mind as you get started, that the budget you are using has to be somewhat disposable, because if you are relying on that budget to triple your money to buy your groceries, this is not a good investment at the moment. So for our purposes today, we've got this set for January 8th, and I am going to go back and set my end date for the 18th. Now this can be paused at any time. If Randy gets on here later is like, what the heck did she do? I don't want this ad. He can pause it later. No big deal. I always like to end my ads after the weekend. People tend to read and look at books more on the weekend, I think, because we have time off. It's when we can kind of relax and scroll through. So I'm going to end this ad on the 18th, which is Monday. For your daily budget, you can run this as little as $1 a day. You can do this very, very cheaply. But keep in mind that when you do that, if I set $1 a day budget and I bid on keywords at 50 cents, I could potentially only be seen twice. So your budget does directly affect how many times your ad is seen. Most commonly when setting ads, what I see success with is anywhere from $3 to $10 a day. And again, how much you budget is going to directly affect how much your book is seen, and it's going to affect your data, because that is part of it. It's not just setting up an ad, it's the data of what your ad did so you can move forward. So Randy is awesomely giving me notes in the chat, which I love. So we're going to set it for $15 a day. That's what we're comfortable with. Now, automatic ad targeting means that Amazon is going to decide when to show your ads. They are going to say, oh, this looks like the right spot for your book, and they are going to do that. The thing with automatic targeting ads is if you don't have a lot of sales, if Amazon's algorithms have not figured out who reads your books, who wants your books, and who your perfect sale is, they don't have the data to target. So I have often seen automatic targeting ads that get no lift because they don't know. They simply do not know who your audience is. And so let's look down there. We're going to skip ahead a little bit. This already has his book on here, but you could search any of your books right here. So that's completely up to you. It used to be, they've gone back and forth on whether or not your ad could list more than one product. They do now allow you to list more than one product in the same ad. So you can absolutely list the ebook and the paperback together, which I'm going to do because I want the sales info for both. But completely up to you if you're purposely going for the paperback, or maybe it makes sense to only do the hardcover for your book because it's a children's book and your ebook is not something that gets searched often. Depends on your book. But anyway, down to the automatic targeting. You can see that with automatic targeting, you basically just set your limits and you go on your merry way. Super easy, which is why it's tempting, but I'll show you why I don't like to do that. So when I go back up here, I'm going to hit the manual targeting. That means that I'm going to choose my keywords, that I have done research, that I kind of have an idea of who my audience is. And you can find keywords by looking at your comp authors. Comp authors and comp titles make fantastic keywords. Knowing your genre, poetry, poetry readers, short stories, bar stories, fun poetry, love poetry, those are all great keywords, and you can have up to 1,000. And I encourage you strongly to have a minimum of 500. So you can find those manually. There are also programs like KDP Rocket is one that I absolutely love. It is a paid program, but it's fantastic. The Apex Authors tools also have some keyword functions that are great. Twin Word is something that is paid or free that focuses more on Google. So there are a number of different programs that you can use for keywords. Keywords is an hour unto itself though. So we'll focus just in on this. I've already done some research for Randy, and so we have some tester keywords that we can use. A custom text ad is where you can put in your own text. A standard ad means there's none. So let's look at that over on Amazon. On the best poetry books over here, you can see that this is a custom text ad. It's got text on the end. It's got a short little 150 character description that you can put up there and kind of sell your book. You can hook. This one right here is a standard ad. There's no description right here. So this kind of just gives you an extra opportunity to sell your book, to hook people in. You don't have to do it, but I strongly recommend that you do, because if you have a spot to market your book, it costs you nothing extra, it just makes sense to use it. So we are going to do a custom text ad. Let's see. All right. And we've already chosen our book. We've got the ebook and the paperback. We are going to do keyword targeting. You can do product targeting where you target categories and brands. I don't have as much success here. I think that if, again, you have a niche category, a niche brand, this may work for you in product targeting. However, keyword targeting by far works better for me, because that means that I can hit anyone who's searching for books or products like mine. A category means they have to be searching in a specific category. And sometimes you either don't know your category or your book could fit in several categories. So again, you can test them out, but for today, we're going to look at the keyword targeting because that is where I like to spend my time. So right here, we've got the suggested keywords from Amazon. If we had done an automatic targeted ad, these are the keywords that they would have used. Now, Randy's book has been up for a while, and I know that he has actually been advertising and selling. So this has pulled up some information. But what's important, while this list looks really big, it covers broad, phrase, and exact. So as you're filtering these things, as you are marketing, if it's exact, your ad will only show up if someone searches that exact phrase. If they search stuffy car, that is when your ad will show up or has a chance to show up. If they just type, maybe they mistype and they do stuffy cat, it does not show up. So if you are very confident that these are the only things that you want, great. I don't trust people that much because I typo a lot and I think other people do. And I think it's interesting to see what pulls up when I don't do exact. Phrases when they type the phrase, and then broad. That's my favorite. Again, won't work for everybody, but broad is my favorite. And broad is when anything in that search word and that keyword can pull you into a search. You can bid on that. Again, will not work for everybody. There are different thought processes and methods on this, but this is what I prefer. And that's what I'm going to stick to because then I can speak to it well. All right, and so you can see now that we have narrowed it down and we're only doing broad, that the keywords here, it looks like a lot, you guys, but this is probably, oh, I don't know, I'd say maybe 50 keywords right here. So it's not that many keywords. And this is a book that has been marketed, that has sold. If this is a brand new book, it's not uncommon to see 5 to 10 keywords, and that is it. And when you have so few keywords, it is very hard to get your book out there. I mean, you have, if only 5 search terms or keywords are what's going to pull up your book, your chances are not as great as if you do the full 1,000 keywords that you're allowed. And you'll notice that down here at the end, a lot of the keywords are the actual title of the book. I personally am not a fan of using your title, your book title, as keywords for your book. If someone is searching Dispatches from the Swinging Door Saloon, they already know the book. They already know the author. They already know what they're looking for. I don't want to pay for someone to click on my ad when it is a keyword that they've already, like, they already knew. They already knew me. So I'm not a fan of those. But what I do like to do is to go through and pick all the keywords that make sense to me. Amazon has an algorithm for a reason. I want to use what they're already onto as well as use my own keywords. For a suggested bid, I always do, suggested bid means that you're going to just take whatever their suggested bid is, which, I mean, $1.52, I'm not paying that much for a keyword. It's not a good investment for me on a $2.99 ebook. So what I'm going to do is do a custom bid, and I am going to say that my custom bid is going to be 45 cents. Some people will go up to 75. They'll, you know, it can run the gamut. Your bid is the max you will spend on a keyword. It is not how much you will spend. So it doesn't mean that if we did $4.50 for a daily ad budget, he would only get 10 clicks or 10 potential clicks. It means that we're not going to go over 45 cents. But there are bots bidding on these keywords. So it could cost them 2 cents to end up in a search. It could cost 17 cents, or it could cost 45 cents. So just know that it's not what you will spend, it's the cap of what you will spend per keyword per search. So I'm going to go in and say, yep, I like this one. I have no clue why Stuffy Car is on here, but it interests me, so I'm going to add that one. Swinging Door Saloon, no, if people are searching that, they already know who Randy is. Bukowski, I'm going to add Tolstoy. Look at that, Randy, you're fancy. You're up there with Tolstoy. Streetcar Named Desire, I could see that. Devotions, not so much. Devotions tends to be something that is more religious and spiritual, and Randy's book could be seen as spiritual epiphanies, but not so much religious, so I'm not going to spend money on that one. Beowulf, sure. Eldridge, Winners Take All, and you kind of just go through and decide the ones that make sense, and if it doesn't make sense, skip it. There is no shame in skipping something. Sometimes Amazon algorithms will pick up things that aren't necessarily the best, like this one, Indoor Doorway Swing. This, I'm not going to pay for this. This has nothing to do with books, and people looking at this are probably carpenters looking or homeowners looking for items. This is not people looking for a book. So why would I spend money on that? Scottish poetry, Streetcar Named Desire spelled a different way. Sure, why not? So you can see I'm just going to go through and add things that make sense. Let's see, and these are all being added. I know they have suggested bid, but they're all being added at my custom bid. And let's see, cheeks. I'm not going to do swinging door. That makes sense. Let's see, door bar, not so much. Saloon door, no. Bar, no. 10-year, no. Okay, I don't like all of those. Great. So once I've done that, I've got a nice curated list of keywords that Amazon thinks make sense. But this is only 25 keywords. I have up to 1,000 keywords, and each keyword is an opportunity for people to see my book and for my book to sell. So I would be crazy not to do anything with that. I would be absolutely crazy to run with 25 keywords when I can have up to 1,000, in my opinion. Again, this is my methodology, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter a list, and this is a keyword list of keywords I've come up with myself. And I happen to keep these in an Excel file. That's how I like to keep everything, an Excel file of potential keywords and then keywords that work, which we'll talk about separately. But this is a list of keywords, and I want to pull keywords and put a couple hundred in there at least. I want to give my book or Randy's book the opportunity to be seen. So I'm going to just copy and paste right over here. These are keywords that I've, again, already searched and things like that. Some of them will be duds, absolutely. I'm not saying that all of these keywords will be awesome, but I am saying that I've done my research, and for one reason or another, either software or me personally have decided that this is a keyword that may pull in someone who's interested in Randy's book. So we're just going to add those keywords. It will do its thing, and you can see, wow, we went from 25 keywords to 687 keywords. We went from 25 potential searches to 687 potential searches. They won't all be good. They won't all be a great fit, but we have to test them out to find that out. Scott is asking, can you find a comparable book on Amazon and pull their list of keywords to start? Scott, you can do that, but you have to have software like KDP Rocket to do it. And that is part of what I did for Randy. So you can do that, absolutely, but it's not free. You do have to have some software to do that. And if you've got a question, just drop it right into the Q&A or drop it. I can't see my chat now. So if you drop it there, let me know. I'm going to pull a couple more keywords because again, I have up to 1,000, so why not? And there are people, I think Brian Cohen may be one of them, that does not suggest using so many keywords at one time, and that's fine. Different things work for different people, but this is the way that I like to run things, and so that's kind of what I'm rolling with. All right, back over. I know you guys have been on here, but I was off pulling more keywords. All right, and poetry, surprisingly, often comes back to grief and different things. So if it's a double keyword, if it's a keyword that their system doesn't like, it just doesn't put it in there. If it's a double keyword, something like that, I just get rid of them. I'm not spending my time worrying about why they didn't accept it. All right, so now we've got our keywords. We've got 913, not quite 1,000, but that's a lot of keywords to work with. That's a lot of data that we can pull and a lot of searches to try. So I'm happy with that. Then you get to your custom text add area. And when you do that, this is your 150 characters. Again, that blog, if you go to newshelves.com/blog, you can find that blog from Brian Cohen's folks over at Best Page Forward. But we are going to pull one that Randy has provided because he's awesome. Thanks again, Randy. Let's see. The bottom of a bottle collides with the demands of inspiration in this poetic, whiskey-soaked journey of self-discovery. Let's try that one. And so I'm going to post it in here. For your 150 keyword little blurbs that you try, I keep those in a Word document, and I do try to keep track of them. That way you can try different things, because maybe what's later, we'll talk about kind of looking over things. And maybe what's working is your keywords, but what's not getting the clicks is your little custom text. So I like to keep track of those to try different things. But anyway, so we can see right here what his ad will look like. So when it's listed in the search with other books, this is what it will look like. And so we are ready. Our ad is done, and we're going to hit launch campaign. And this will go into review, and then it can be launched. That is how you set up an ad. I know it took us quite a while to kind of go through it because I was going back and forth and describing it and talking about it. But now when I'm going to set up an Amazon ad, it generally only takes me, maybe 10 minutes to set up an ad, and it gives you all the information. Now, when I want to see that, you go to your campaign manager, which you can also find by going right here and hitting campaign. But we can see all the different campaigns that have run, and we can track it. So we can see our stats and all of our information. And so let's go here. Just one second. And Pat is saying that there is a free keyword site. It's called nerdybookgirl.com, but you can only search one ASIN at a time. But awesome free resource. So thank you, Pat, for letting us know about that. nerdybookgirl.com. Yeah, would you do free in the negative keyword targeting if you're trying to sell, not give away your book? You can. So the negative targeting is when you don't want something to show up. Free can be something, but if your book is in Kindle Unlimited, I have found many people will say free ebook, and what they're really looking for is a Kindle Unlimited because it's free for them to download. If your book's not in Kindle Unlimited, you may want to put free in the negative keyword targeting in the setup, just like we did our positive keywords. You may put that in the negative keyword targeting so you don't get those people. But time to time, if you're in KDP Select, I find that a lot of our read-throughs actually come through those free searches. All right. Right here. Let's go through here. I did want to show you an actual ad that we can see. All right. So let's look at an ad that was running. Let's see, we're going to do this one because it's currently running. Let's look at what an ad means when you're running it, when it makes sense and when it doesn't make sense. So we've got our ad metric information up here. Let's look at all the things we can. So there's your spend. That's how much you've spent over the life of the ad. You can, there's this little bar. I'm going to move our chat, my face and everything over. There is this little bar where it says date range, and you can do a certain number. You can do like last 7 days. You can do, you know, last 30 days. So you can do different information there, or the lifetime of the ad. Completely up to you. And actually, let's go with the last week. Let's look at this last 7 days. All right. So of the last 7 days, we spent $79.14, and the sales have been $299. Now, what I do want to point out for Randy's book in particular is that he only is listing his ebook. So this is not tracking any of his paperback sales. And poetry tends to be bought in paperback. So if people are going to his listing and buying his paperback rather than his ebook, this is not listed in the stats here. So they may be skewed a little bit as to true sales. And that's something that you would have to look at your sales report versus these reports to get a true idea. That's not always the case. Sometimes ebooks sell more, but in this case particular, I'd say with poetry, with cookbooks, with children's books, if you're only running an ad that focuses on your ebook, because the book is connected, let's say Swinging Door Saloon. Not that I can spell, but I have other redeeming qualities occasionally. So right here, here's Randy's book. So because his book is beautifully connected, when I go to his sales site, I can see his Kindle, I can see his audio, his hardcover, his paperback. So it's really important to note that while we are seeing stats for his Kindle in particular, and if they bought his Kindle, if they clicked on his ad and bought his audio, his hardcover, or his paperback, that is still being driven by these sales. It's not being counted in his dashboard because that is only featuring and tracking on his Kindle. But if he's making sales elsewhere, that's something he needs to keep in mind if he's running an ad and he's like, man, this is not working, I'm not getting sales. You would have to look at the overall sales of the book in the other formats, not just the ebook, to see if this ad was doing its job. All right, so to get back here, we can see sales have been $299, which I said is not surprising, one order of the ebook. As for the others, we'd have to pull a full sales report and do a correlation. Return on ad spend is 0.4 or 0.04, not great. Again, we have to look at the full sales for this one. Impressions, though, is good. Impressions, he's got over 22,000 impressions. An impression is anytime your full book shows up on a screen. So, best romance mystery. Again, I can't type, but that's all right. If we do that, this right here, this is an impression for this book because we are seeing it fully on my screen. That's one impression. And he's got over 22,000 1,000 impressions. That's a lot of eyes on his book. That is a lot of marketing. It's like a billboard of people being able to see his book to discover his brand, which is amazing. So that is an impression, and we like to see a lot of impressions, which is one of the reasons why I personally like to do a lot of keywords. It's a lot of opportunity for your book to be seen. And if you want your book to be bought, it first has to be seen. So that's why I like it. He's got 47 clicks, and that would mean that someone saw this, said, looks pretty good. They click on it and go to a sales page. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to spend this author's ad budget. But if I were to click on it, that would count as a click that was counted. That would go over to his sales page. Cost per click on average is $1.68. This is what I don't like. At $2.99 per book, $1.68 is kind of high. This is where I set my ad budget a little bit lower. When I set the ad budget, I did 45 cents because that's all I was really willing to put in. So just, whoops, I just made my Q&A bots my whole screen. So keep that in mind, is that if your cost per click is high, then maybe it's not worth it. You need to adjust your cap, your budget, or your ad cap budget. Not per day, but per keyword. Is an impression what actually is on screen, or does it include what a person would have to scroll down to see but might not scroll down to see? It is when, unless Amazon has changed their policy in recent times, which is possible, but as far as I know from the last time that I was researching what an impression is, it is when someone actually scrolls through and sees it on their screen. That could have updated. I could be wrong, but as far as I know. Yeah, so the difference between an impression and a click, one more time. An impression is when you see it. An impression means that it's an impression on my screen. A click is when I physically click over here. Let me go to something that's not an ad so I don't feel guilty for doing that. All right, this is an impression. I am seeing the book. This is a click. I am now on their sales page. That's a click. And that was not a sponsored keyword ad, so I was not using up any poor author's budget. All right. I lost my chat screen here. There we go. All right. So then as we're looking through here, and we can see our orders, we can see the cost of the actual cost of sale, how much we are spending. Not great odds. Again, we're not seeing the full picture because we're not seeing Randy's. Yeah, I am considerate, darn it. We're not seeing Randy's hardcover. We're not seeing his paperback sales. We're not seeing his audio sales, which I would venture to guess are the bulk of his sales. So this isn't a full picture, but this is what it's showing us right now. If you were running an ad, like his new ad we ran for both the ebook and the paperback, if you do that and you only have an ebook and a paperback, this number would be very accurate. So something to think about. KNP read is his page reads on Kindle Unlimited. So that also tracks, because sometimes you'll say, man, I sold none. I have a client who all of her books, she's got a series of books and they are all in Kindle Unlimited. We'll look at her ads and we're like, man, your ACOS is over 100. Your orders, weren't that great. But then we look at her Kindle page reads and she's got like 50,000. Well, she makes enough on those for it to make sense for the price of the ad. So that is something, it's a newer feature I like to look at because it does allow you to see your Kindle page reads to see if your ads are drawing people over to that. So it's not technically a sale because you're not getting the $2.99 price. It is a page read and it's a download. And this is brand new where they estimate your royalties so you can see how much it's worth. So interesting facts and data to have there. This is what we look at though to see how our ad is running. This is what we look at to see, is what I'm doing working and do I need to adjust something? I like to see this because I like to take the data and kind of do a little bit of analyzing with it. Let's see. I'm making sure I'm answering questions as I go. All right, so with the data here, this is what I like to do. So I'm going to pick up my phone, which is my calculator. You know, math class back in the day when they're like, you'll never, ever have a calculator with you all the time. Well, Mom, you were wrong. Let's see. I love my mother, by the way. All right, so we have 22,559 impressions. I like to take the impressions number and divide it by the clicks, which is 47. So Randy is getting 1 click per every 480 impressions, roughly. And I just took the 22,559 divided by 47. And so when I do that, I'm saying about for every 480 impressions is a click. That's pretty good. If you can get 1 click per every 500 to 800 impressions, that means you're probably hitting your target pretty well, and your ad copy is doing what it needs to. It's hooking people in and making them want to see your page. So I'm happy with that. If my click to impression ratio is 800 or under, I'm happy. Again, my methodology, other people will say different things, have different ways to do things. This is what I do. Then I'm going to take my clicks and divide it by your orders. So 47 divided by 1. Well, that means that out of every I don't know, I actually did a division on that. That means that out of everyone clicking over to the page, only 1 person is ordering. This would concern me, again, if I didn't know that Randy had 3 other formats of his book that were probably selling better. But that is when you are looking to see what's the disconnect. If I'm getting impressions, if my book is showing up in a search and people are clicking on it, they're obviously interested. It's not my cover. It's not my little blurb that's not working for me. What on the page is keeping them from clicking onto the page to read the description to hitting the buy button? That is when you start looking at your description, you start looking at your hook, and that kind of thing. Now, again, I don't think this is a full depiction of Randy's sales based on his hardcover, his paperback, and his audio. But that is why I like to look at the data, because then it kind of tips me off of what may or may not be working. Where is the disconnect? Because if it's not working on the sales page, that lets me know I need to work on my sales page. Is it the price? Is it the hook? Is it the description? That gives us opportunities to perfect our book pitch and to convert those clicks into sales. So that's why we look at it. All right, you guys, that is the basics of setting up an ad and actually going from ad setup to running an ad and seeing your ads. There's more we can talk about, and I think that we can pull these later. After this ad has run, maybe Randy would be gracious enough to let us pull a report to see how our ad actually performed. But that's the basics of getting started. That's the basics of setting up your ad. If you have questions, drop them in. How do you pay for Amazon ads? When you set up your ad account, you have to connect a card or a bank account, and they will automatically charge you from that. Oh, good. Hopefully it made sense. I know I'm a visual learner, so having the visual is helpful. I also would like to say that, again, this has been my methodology. This has been the way that I personally run ads, and it is what works for me. This is not what everyone teaches. I believe that some of the things that Brian Cohen and his group do are different, and that's fine. I think you have to find what works for you, what makes sense in your head, and what works for your book. So that's perfectly okay. I wouldn't shy away from that. And speaking of Brian Cohen, I would like to say that Best Page Forward in the Amazon Ad Challenge is about to start. This is a completely free, absolutely positively free workshop for Amazon ads, where you go through with a group. It's a 5-day challenge, but it's actually spread out over a week, where you get video trainings, kind of like the one I just did, as you do it, it actually gives you homework and it walks you through. And this group, the Ad Challenge group, has thousands of authors, and they have actually set up for this Ad Challenge week. They have set up where they will have experienced authors who have run ads who will be there and support and answer your questions 18 hours a day, which is amazing. So this was short, this was sweet. It's a dip your toe in the water. But if you want to do that ad challenge, I'm going to drop it. The link to sign up, free challenge, starts on January 11th. You can sign up. Guys, even if you don't have the time or you think, maybe not, sign up, get in that Facebook group so that you can learn from people and that you can troubleshoot and ask questions and get the free videos. Brian is amazing. He's well known in the industry. He's got a great reputation. We have several people that we know who have used his programs to ramp up their ads. So if you want more intensive than what we can cover in 20, 30 minutes, go sign up for that. Again, it's right there in our chat. I put the link so you can sign up. That was really kind of, it's 11 already. So I think I covered Amazon ads. If you guys have further questions, if you have follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to email me. It's just questions@freeadvicefridays.com. And I will be happy to answer those. Randy has agreed to let us kind of analyze this ad afterwards to see how we did and how we could improve it. So that's great to know. We'll kind of pick up on that. And again, the Ad Profit Challenge with Brian Cohen, amazing. The link's in there. We also have that new blog from him on newshelves.com/blog on ad copy. So I highly recommend that. And next week, we're going to take a little break from ads because we have special guest, Tara from Emerald Lakes Books is going to be joining us to be talking about publishing with a purpose. And she is fantastic. And she's got this idea and this methodology that when you publish with a purpose, you just do better. When there's reasoning and you have goals in mind, you go further with your publishing. And so we've got some teaser questions and some ideas of things that you can start thinking of that will lead into what we're going to talk about next week. But if you have questions for an actual publisher, a small publisher who does this as a business and for a living, join us next week. Post in Free Advice Friday with your questions or email me at questions@freeadvicefridays.com. I will, of course, be here for your normal book marketing questions, but we are very excited to have Tara here. So you guys, thank you so much. Randy, thank you again. You're awesome. And I can't wait to see you guys next week. Happy Friday, and we'll see you then. Bye.